This image was a video I did a while back, but I'm revisiting it because as we progress with Photoshop, there's always something new to learn, a new way of doing stuff. There's many ways to skin a cat, as I say, within Photoshop, and I've learned another way of kind of coloring images, which is fairly quick and simple, and I want to share that with you today. This image is a composite. It's compositive of three images: the sky, the stones here, which is Stonehenge in England, and the foreground, which is my son dressed as Robin Hood. So it's a fairly tongue-in-cheek image to produce. It's just a bit of fun. But as I said, we're not creating all this. But what we're going to do is show you how we can match colours within Photoshop and give a really nice muted effect. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on, or Command or Control click on the layer here. This is obviously already masked out, and to load that as a selection, we're going to go down here and we're going to go to Hue Saturation, and I'm just literally just going to drop some of the colour out of the image like so. Probably down to about 70% should do us, and that's just nicely dropped some of the colour from our model. And we don't want to drop all the colour out of it. I mean, we can go back and adjust this if we need to, because it's obviously this adjustment layer, or we can just drop the opacity down and let some more colour through, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drop this down slightly. So we just want to desaturate it, not convert it to a black and white. So now what we can do is Command or Control click on the layer again, or you can click Command or Control Shift D, which will bring back our selection. Go down here, we're going to click on Hue Saturation again. This time we're going to click the little box down the bottom here which says Colorize. Okay, we want to leave the saturation up quite high for the moment so we can see what we're doing. We can drop it down afterwards. First thing I'm going to do is just pick a colour just to try and blend in with this background. This background is made of very cool tones. There's a little bit of warmth in the highlights, but most of it is very cool, slightly cyan. So we're going to pick a colour to match that. And I'm looking to colorize mainly the body area here, the uniform. So we just need to go along and just pick something that we think may fit in with that. That looks like it might work. Drop down the saturation somewhat, and like I said, just keep it on the sleeve here. That's what we're trying to sort of kind of blend in a bit better. Somewhere around there. So a little adjust. That looks pretty good. Now click OK. Now at this stage you probably think I've gone a little bit doolally, but what we're going to do is double click on the side of the layer here and bring up the layer style options box. Now what I want to do is leave the colour in most of the uniform here, but not in his skin. We don't want him having a green complexion. So to do that, we're going to drag this slider, this highlight slider here, down towards the darker end, this end, until the colour starts, as you can see it now, it just starts to disappear from his face. But we're getting a nasty transition here. We don't want that. So we're going to hold down the Alt key, and that splits this slider, and that means we can get a much nicer, smoother transition. So we can carry on sliding this down now a bit further, and that looks pretty good. And again, we can drag this one as well. And like I said, just watch the transitions and make sure we don't get any nasty, jagged, posterized type tones in there. Click OK. We can Command Control Shift D, or just Command or Control click on the thumbnail to reselect. We go down to Hue Saturation yet again. Click the Colorize box, and now you want to add a bit of warmth back to his skin. So leave the saturation up for a minute, and let's just have a little play around with these sliders. Pick out a colour that might work. I think somewhere around there might look good. Drop down the saturation. Somewhere around there, not too bad. Click OK. Then again, we double click on the layer next to the mask there. And this time we want to drag the shadow slider up in the same fashion we did with the highlights. And the idea is now to get rid of the warmth colour from the clothing. So we'll just pull this one up and just keep an eye on the sleeves here, and you'll start to see that's coming through now. And about there looks good. Hold down the Alt key and we can just split this slider again, and that just creates a better transition. So that looks pretty good. The only areas we've got a bit tricky are around here where it's the transitions from light to dark on his face. We may get a little bit of a green tinge there, which we might have to go and sort out. And there may well be a few other little bits, maybe in the hair here. So we can try and do as much as we can with these shadow sliders in the layer style. And that's probably looking about as good as I can get it for the second. Click OK. So that's before, that's after. It's subtle, but it's just adding some nice warmth here in the skin. And then the layer underneath, which is for the greenish tinge to his clothing, is quite a bigger effect, like so. So we kind of split turn the image, but it's giving us a lot more control than trying to do it, say, with the color balance adjustment layers. So that's all looking pretty good. I think we need to make a few little more adjustments, as I mentioned a minute ago, on his face here. You're not going to get the color adjustments exactly where we want them for the whole image. We've got to transition on the face here, and he's obviously left some of the green tinge, and we don't want that. So what we can do is highlight our main layer here with our model on, and I'm going to get the eyedropper tool from over here, and we're just going to select a tone off his face here, a nice warm tone, somewhere around there. Around there will do. Add an empty layer. We'll drag this to the top of the stack. We're going to change the blend mode to color, and then with the paintbrush tool, with our foreground set to our color we've just selected, I'm going to literally just paint over some of these areas which has got this nasty green tinge to them, like so. And that basically just corrects and takes away that green cast, like so. And we can do that for any part of the image. For instance, also, just go around there very quickly. We've got a bit of his eyes here. Well, we don't particularly want to colour them with the skin colour, but we could perhaps colour them with something else. So let's just highlight the layer again. Get the eyedropper tool. I don't think there's going to be a lot of colour in here to pick. And we certainly don't want to paint them black. So what we could do is just maybe pick a blue or something here, like so. Add a new empty layer again, bring it to the top, change the blend mode to color again. We'll zoom in so we can see what we're doing, and again maybe just color that in like so. Drop down the opacity, and that just gives a slight blue cast to his eyes. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, not that far, and let you have a look at what we've done here. So here's the before on the cheek, here's after, so you can see we've just really corrected that quite nicely. The other thing to do is maybe add one more adjustment layer again into color mode, and just try and get a little bit of color out of his hair here. I'm going to pick a grey, a neutral grey, like so, and with the paintbrush tool, and again we can just go over the hair here and just correct that like so. So what I'll do now is just select all of these and link them all together so they don't go walkabout. I'm going to add a new little group here, select the layers and put those into there. We'll rename this one adjustments color, so we know what it is and it's nice and tidy. So now we're going to turn these off. There's before, there's after. It's very subtle, I'll be the first to admit that, but again, it does the job. It's just making him blend into this background that much better. So I'm going to do one more adjustment. Command or Control click on our layer to add a selection. Go to Curves. Yeah. And we're just going to create a little bit more contrast in the image by making an adjustment like so. And we're going to change the blend mode to this to luminosity, and that means it won't adjust our colour. If it was in normal mode, sometimes you get quite a shift in colour balance. So if you want to avoid that, put it into luminosity mode, and that again just helps him fit in with the background that bit better contrast wise. So that effect was very, very subtle, so I'm going to show you another one just very quickly. With the screencasting, sometimes the subtle effects don't always show through very well, so I want to make sure I show you a good example. So this is another one of my images, a car shot, and it already fairly monochrome again. There's a little bit of colour through here, but we're just going to add a bit more. We're going to go down to hue saturation, click the colorize box, and we want a nice cool tone for the majority of the image. Somewhere around there probably will do it. Drop the saturation down, something like that. Click OK. We're going to grab the highlight slider and drag that so it takes the effect away from the highlights. Alt click on the slider so we get some nice smooth transitions like so. That's looking good. Add another hue saturation. Click the colorize box. This time we want a sort of more of a warmer effect in the highlights. So something around there looks good. Drop the saturation down like that. Click OK. Double click again. This time we're going to grab the shadow end. Alt drag on the slider and drag those apart like so. Click OK. So that's before. That's with our cool tones added. That's with our highlights brought back a little bit of warmth in there. So I think that's a better example to show you what's possible with this. And as I said, very adjustable. You can just go back in if you're not happy with the colour and just change the colours slightly if you want something a bit different. Just go in and make the adjustments. So that concludes this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I've explained everything nice and clearly, and I hope to catch you again on the next one. Thanks for watching.